What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV, back here for another episode of Keep, Loan or Sell, where we're going to go through each and every member of the Tottenham squad, the players out on loan, and some of the under 21s we've picked out as well. And we're going to categorise them into keep, loan or sell, exactly what it says on the tin. We haven't done this for a while, so you up for it?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to see where some of these players land.
Starting off with Rodrigo Bentancur. Hasn't actually had the best season coming back from injury, but I think this is an easy one. Keep, obviously.
Yeah, we have to keep him. I'm sure he'll be back to his best. I'm definitely rooting for Bentancur. And I think recently there's been some good things with him. So hopefully signs he's come back to his best.
Yep. Next up, James Maddison. I mean, do we even need to go into this one? This is obviously keep.
He needs a loan, I think. Needs 6 months in the Championship. No, I think he'll be all right in the first team next season.
Next up is Tanguy Ndombele on loan at Galatasaray at the moment, not really getting in the team. I'm not even going to let you say a word on this. I'm putting him straight in sell, because if I let you get the mic, you're going to put him in keep or something.
Give him a chance. Bring him home. No, I'm joking. Yeah, I think he needs... Look, if we can sell him, I think we should sell him.
He'll be going into his last year of his contract, right, in the summer.
Yeah, so we'll take what we can get, essentially, at this point. Sonny
Boy goes straight into keep, captain, talisman, and not only keep, he needs a new contract as well.
Yeah, sign him up, Spurs. Come on. What's the delay?
Next up is Ashley Phillips. With Ashley Phillips, he's been obviously on loan at Plymouth this season. I think there has been question marks in terms of his ability on the ball. I think apart from that, he's had rave reviews at Plymouth, so he's doing really well in the Championship. I'd probably like to see him have another season there.
Yeah, I think so. I'm really happy with his development at Plymouth, but I think a loan deal is probably the best course of action, considering all the rumours that Tottenham are signing another centre-back as well. I think it has to be a loan.
Yeah, so Ashley Phillips goes in to loan. Next up is Japhet Tanganga. Having a really good loan spell actually at Millwall for the first time, because obviously his loan spell out to Germany at Augsburg was shocking, didn't even get 1 minute. But seeing since he's gone into the Millwall team, he's getting rave reviews as well. But I think his time at Tottenham's probably up, so I would say sell in the summer. And probably you might be able to get a bit of money from him now.
Yeah, I'm glad that he's finally getting some regular minutes somewhere. Seems to be doing really well at Millwall, even contributing to a few goals that I'm seeing. But I think, and I don't think another loan deal is going to benefit him or Spurs, so I think he has to be sold.
Yeah, so Japhet Tanganga goes into sell. Next up, we have Sergio Reguilon. Is that it?
Yeah.
Sergio Reguilon.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, a couple of loan spells, one to Manchester United, one to Brentford. And I think that his loan spell at Brentford might be putting a bit of value on him as well.
Yeah, I think his stock has risen this season, considering no one was interested in buying him permanently last summer. But I think his time at Brentford's been pretty good. I think Man United, he wasn't bad either, but they just decided not to keep him on. Obviously, that red card last week probably didn't do Spurs any favours, but I think he's playing really well at the moment. But I think try and get some money for him.
Man, you probably regretting letting him go after the injury to Luke Shaw.
I think so.
Who do we have next? So Reguilon goes into sell. Next up is Brennan Johnson. I think he's growing in a Spurs shirt. You've seen that last couple of games, albeit Fulham game wasn't too great. But with the goal contributions that he's provided, seeing as we only just signed him in the summer, I think he's obviously a keep.
Yeah, got to keep him. No brainer.
So Brennan Johnson into keep. Who do we have next? Alejo Veliz. I think it's an interesting one for Veliz, because I think he should be part of the first team squad next season. I know he's not really getting a look in at Sevilla at the moment. I don't think he's had anything past like 10 minutes on the pitch from a sub appearance, but I saw value in him when he was coming off the bench for Spurs. I like what he's about. Look, I think maybe a loan might do him the world of good, but with Spurs in European football next season, he might get some minutes.
Yeah, I liked a few of his cameos, but again, it was really didn't have a lot of minutes, did he? A few minutes here and there. Obviously, did score that goal against Brighton. Unfortunately, haven't seen too much of him yet at Sevilla. So I think at this point, I'll probably put him in loan. That's what I would say. I don't know if he's ready yet to be part of the first team, especially in Champions League. But yeah, I guess if he's not if he never gets a chance, how will we ever know? I guess there's a point there. But from what I can see right now, I think a loan deal is probably the best course of action.
How old is he, Alejo Veliz?
We signed him at 19, so he's either 19 or 20.
Alejo Veliz. I thought he was a bit older than that. Did we not sign him at 20? No, he's 20 now, turning 21 in September.
Yes, so 19.
I think like either or could be valuable to us. So if he goes to loan, he needs to be starting week in, week out. That's the facts of the matter. And right now, his loan spell at Sevilla is not really doing anyone the world of good. He's sitting on the bench, not really getting too much game time. But if he is going to do that, it's just better off him being here and getting bit part role from the bench at Spurs. So yeah, I'll agree with you. As much as I would like to see him part of the first team next year, I can see the value of him going out on loan next season. Who do we have next? Timo Werner. Obviously, we can't loan him out because he's not our player. So it's either we could loan him in. So it's either keep or sell. I think at this moment in time, it's probably sell.
Yeah, and that's not a blight on Timo. I think he's done a good job so far. And you could argue for 14.5 million, you can't really go wrong. But I think from my perspective, he takes up a space in the squad where maybe we could upgrade. And is it worth giving up that space for the sake of a winger who just because he cost 15 million? I think at this stage, I'm saying no, as much as I think he's been all right. But I think a few more better appearances and that could change.
All right, next up, Pape Matar Sarr. This is one of the easier ones. He obviously goes into keep.
Yep, have to keep him. Being such a starring light this season, unbelievable player. Keep.
Pape Matar Sarr, we should call him. What a player he is. Next up is Fraser Forster. His contract is up at the end of the season, but do we extend it for another year and maybe bring through one of the other keepers as the backup for the following year? I mean, Vicario's not going to be displaced, is he? Mm-hmm. Fraser Forster, as much as, he's aging and we've highlighted his issues before, are we going to get a better backup on a free transfer, let's say, than Fraser Forster?
Probably not. I don't mind keeping him, to be honest. But I don't want him playing in Premier League or Champions League. But then again, do you want him playing in the Cups?
No, I want Vicario to play every game.
But that's, when you have a backup keeper, it's usually they play both competitions, don't they? They usually rotate them.
Don't have to, though.
They don't have to, but that's how most top teams do it, I guess. So if that's what Ange has in mind, then I'd want a better keeper. But if he's going to play Vicario in every competition, then I don't mind keeping Forster.
But then it's like which way do you want to go? Because you're looking at Josh Keeley, right, who's playing well at Barnet. Is he ready for first team football? Probably not. Brandon Austin and Alfie Whiteman we'll get into a bit later, but are they of the required ability at their age that they're at right now? Probably not. So you're kind of stuck in between a rock and a hard place with the goalkeeping situation, aren't you?
I think from the point of view where if we get an injury, I'll want a better backup. I'll probably sell at that point. But if I'm happy to keep Forster if it means Vicario is going to be playing every game and he doesn't get injured, if you know what I mean. So
we're happy to keep him as long as he doesn't play.
Yeah, essentially, yes. He has some benefits being homegrown and stuff and experience, but I don't know if I trust him over a long stretch of games to play.
But then which way do you go with it? Who can you bring in that you can trust that's happy to sit on the bench?
That's a good question.
I don't think there's many out there.
There's not. You have to be very smart. Maybe a young keeper-ish.
Bringing Scott Carson from Man City.
I don't think Scott Carson beats that bill either.
It's an impossible role unless you promote Josh Keeley and have him as the backup. But then he's only playing at Barnet, which is what, non-league, League 2. I'm not sure. I think it's non-league.
It's non-league, yeah.
So he's having rave reviews, but that's in the non-league.
Yeah. So.
And Brandon Austin has been upgraded now. Whilst Fraser Forster's been injured, but
so we'll loan him then.
We'll loan him, yeah.
No, so let's keep him. I don't mind.
All right, we'll keep Fraser Forster. Next up is Troy Parrott, having a good season at the Eredivisie, probably his most successful loan spell as of yet, which probably puts a bit of value on his name. So maybe this is the right summer to sell him.
Yeah, I think so. At this point, as much as I am impressed with how he's doing out in Holland, is he going to be part of the first team? No. Is yet another loan deal going to benefit him? Probably not. He needs to find a home at this point. If the big clubs like Ajax and stuff are after him, then I think sell.
All right, Troy Parrott goes in to sell. Next up is Emerson Royale. Good player for the squad, in my opinion, but it doesn't really fit the system. I think he's a good player to have around. He's filled in fairly well when asked, at left back, at centre back, at right back. But in my opinion, we should sell because you can probably get a high fee from him from a team that he would totally suit their system. And I think he's got a good future in the game if he goes to a team that really values what he brings. And I don't think Spurs do value what he brings, essentially. And I think when you're looking at a backup for Pedro Porro, he's okay to fill in from time to time, but we really need someone that can challenge Pedro Porro for that right back spot. So in my opinion, sell.
Especially with Champions League next season, there's going to be a lot of burden on these fullbacks to rotate a lot more. So I think Emerson's going to be playing a lot more game time if he's there, the backup. And I just think we need a better quality player there. As much as I like Emerson, he's just not good enough on the ball for me, so I would sell him.
Yeah. Emerson Royale. Sorry, Barry, but he goes into sell. Next up is Brian Hill Messi. And Brian Hill, as much as I love him, as much as I love his technical ability, no manager ever fancies him. He's always the last thought of this football club. So I think this is the year that we should finally, cut our losses and sell him.
Yeah, I don't think any loan deals will help. He needs to find a place where he can start playing again and show what he's about. And I just don't think that place is going to be Tottenham, unfortunately. So needs to sell.
Brian Hill, unfortunately, you are going to be sold, and it's probably suits all parties. It suits him, it suits us, and I don't know, how much money do you think we can get from him? We bought him for what, 25 million plus Lamella?
It was 22 plus Lamella, yeah.
Okay, 22 plus Lamella. What a bad deal that is looking like. We're even
going to get 10 at this point. It's going to be difficult.
Yeah. Ryan Sessegnon next. I mean, you can't even get him on the pitch, so I think this is a straight sell.
I would like to loan him, just to try and build some value if anyone's going to take him on loan.
Isn't he going into his last year of his contract?
I think 2025, so potentially.
You're not giving him a new contract.
No, you're not going to give him a new
contract. So it's either sell or keep. Like, you can't, unless you loan him and let him go for free at the end of it. Like,
is it 2026 or 25, Sessegnon?
I'm pretty sure he signed him and Ndombele and Lo Celso signed the same contract, didn't they?
Yeah, I think you're right. All right, if he's last year, then I would sell. If he's got 2 years, I would loan. But it says here 2025. Yeah. All right, gonna have to sell him.
Ryan Sessegnon, if we could find a buyer, that is, like, with the injuries that he's had, it's going to be impossible to find a buyer. But next up, Pedro Porro, unbelievable player. Come on leaps and bounds this season. He is obviously in keep.
Definitely one of the best right backs in the league this season. Been very impressed. Definitely
Pedro
a keep.
Porro, keep. Next up is Alfie Whiteman. I mean, his contract's up at the end of the season, so I don't think we're going to renew it this time.
Sell.
Alfie Whiteman in sell. Next up is Cuti Romero. I mean, we know a vice captain, one of the leading centre-backs in the Premier League this season. Absolutely keep.
Definitely.
Next up is Giovanni Lo Celso. Unfortunately, as much as I like Lo Celso and like what he brings to the team, I think it has to be a sell this summer. First of all, because every time he plays, he gets injured. And second of all, I don't think he's going to be signing that new contract. So this is the prime time to sell him. Yeah,
I think from a quality-wise, he's good enough to be part of this team and actually has shown at points this season how beneficial he can be. But unfortunately, due to those circumstances, it's just going to have to be a sell. And that's the reality of the situation.
Yeah. Okay, so Giovanni Lo Celso goes into... we're selling a lot of players here. Next up is Radu Dragusin. Obviously just came in January, hasn't played too much football, but obviously is going to be keep.
Yeah, no surprises there.
But a very good backup option to have for Cuti Romero. We just need to bring in another one for Van de Ven. But next up is Alfie Devine, is that?
Yeah.
I think Alfie Devine, another loan spell, to be honest. I think he's doing well at Plymouth, but he has been relegated to the bench for the past 4 or 5 games. He has shown value at Plymouth, but I think another loan spell next year is probably the best course of action.
Yeah, maybe a Premier League spell. See how we can do it at this level.
But he's not even holding down a first-team spot at a relegation-threatened Plymouth, so I think probably another championship.
But they're happy with him when he is on the pitch, it seems. I don't know why he's not playing every week, but I think he's clearly shown he can play on the championship from what I can see. And from what I gather from Plymouth fans, they've been pretty impressed with him. So if he continues to impress from now to the end of the season, I think hopefully a Premier League spell where he can really show that he's can get used to this level, and then with a view of getting him in the first team in 2025.
Okay. Alfie Devine is going on loan next season. Who do we have next? Destiny Udogie, obviously keep. One of our best players this season, one of the best left backs in the Premier League this season. That's an easy one. Who do we have next? Is that Jamie Donnelly up next? Yeah, Jamie Donnelly. I think loan for Jamie. I watched him in the under-21s against Arsenal. He looked physically ready and a level above the under-21 level. So I don't think him coming into the Spurs first team squad next year holds too much value, because I don't think he'll see too many minutes. But him getting a loan spell, whether it be to a lower end Premier League team or a Championship side, will do him the world of good, in my opinion.
I agree. Needs a loan spell. Needs to be playing competitive football regularly. Clearly, the under-21s is too easy for him. So
yeah, like 20 assists, 19 assists this season is just crazy numbers. All right, so Jamie Donnelly is loan. Next up is Richarlison. A controversial figure, but I'm going to say keep. But not as our first choice number 9, but as our squad rotation number 9.
Yeah, unless we get a really big offer, which is probably more than our money back, or at least close to our money back, I wouldn't consider selling him. I think goals for strikers are hard to come by, and we know he's one who can put the ball in the back of the net. He's shown that this season. I think he's a good player. I think he's good to have around the dressing room as well. So I'm going to keep him.
All right, Richarlison goes into keep. Sorry, Barry. Next up is that Dorrington? Dorrington, Alfie Dorrington. He's had a long injury this season, only just come back. I'm torn between keeping him in the under-21s for another year. Probably a loan spell is probably best for all parties, considering his age.
Yep. I think a loan spell, really get him up to speed with competitive football. He's been impressing, but as you say, that injury wouldn't have done him good. He might maybe keep him around in the under-21s if that's his level for now, but I would like to see a loan spell.
Yeah, so Dorrington will be going on loan. Next up is Ben Davis. Now, this is an interesting one, because me personally, I'd like to see us bring in another left back this summer, and we want to bring in another left centre back. So does that spell the end of Ben Davis, unless we want him as proper cover for both positions if needs be?
Look, he's actually done really well this season, so I'm gonna give him his props, especially when he's filled in at centre back. Haven't really liked him at left back, to be honest, but at centre back he's been pretty good. If we're going to bring in 2, then there's no need for Davis. But if we're only going to bring in 1, then I guess he can still stay. But I don't think we want him as backup centre back, because that's something we're clearly going for. Yeah. So from that point of view, I wouldn't really want him as backup left back. So I'll probably sell if we get an offer. If we get a good offer, I'll probably sell. Yeah,
that's kind of where I'm at with it, because I think that we need to bring. We're clearly looking for another centre back. We should be looking for another left back. So on that, there's not really much room for him in the squad anymore, and our longest serving player. So thanks for all the memories, but unfortunately we're going to put you in sell, Ben Davis. Next up is Yves Bissouma. Not having the best time of it of late, but I think you've got to have keep.
Yeah, we know we can do it his best, and if he can get back to that, he's an easy keep, but he definitely needs to improve, because of late he just hasn't been at it, and that's the reality.
Yeah. Next up is the Viking, Pierre-Emile Højbjerg. And I think I don't even think that we need to get too much into this, but it's going to be sell. He's hired new agents. He's not getting into the team, and he needs to go somewhere where he's going to play regularly football what he deserves.
Yeah, and 1 year left on his deal. If we're going to sell, it's going to be now, so I have to sell.
So PEH goes in to sell. Next up is Big Vic Vicario, first choice keeper. He ain't going nowhere. One of the best keepers in the Premier League this season as well. So straight into keep.
Yeah, definitely keep.
Next up, who do we have? Oh, Joe Rodon. I think he's built up quite a bit of value this year in his loan spell at Leeds. I think Leeds want to keep him, so it seems like a match made in heaven.
Yep, sell. I think get some money for him. Obviously, it looked like for a long time we weren't going to see any money back from Rodon, but doing well this season at Leeds. Might see him back in the Premier League next season, but not for Spurs.
Yeah. Joe Rodon will be going into sell. Next up is Big Mickey van der Ven. Obviously, you all know where he's going. He's going to be going into keep. Yep. Top player. I love Mickey van der Ven, like literally with all my heart.
Yeah, what a defender.
Who is that? Is that Niall John? Yeah, Niall John up next. And I would actually put Niall John into sell. Yeah, he's been around for so long. He's coming up that age now where he's getting a bit too old for the under-21s now as well. So I don't see him making any kind of headway in the first team. I don't see really too much value of loaning him out anyway. So I think Niall John has to be sold.
Yeah, agreed. Unfortunately for Niall, sell him.
Niall John in sold. Dejan Kulusevski. I think it's obvious that we keep Decky. He has had his his critics this season, whether you think it's fair or unfair, I would prefer him to move into the centre and buy a top winger for that right-hand side. But he has had a fairly good season.
Yeah, I love Decky. I think he's full of quality. I still think he's got levels to go up as well. So I'm keeping him.
All right. Decky goes into keep. Next up is that Manor? Manor Solomon. It's so harsh on Manor. He has a lot of critics, and mainly just because he gets injured. He's been injured for so long. We haven't seen him since, October time? Keeps having setbacks to his injury. It just depends whether we can get him back fully fit or not. If we can get him back fully fit, I'll keep him. But if not, then, you have to keep him anyway. So I don't know which way to go with Manor, to be honest.
I would loan him, to be honest. I would let him play somewhere where he's going to be one of their main players and he's going to be playing week in, week out and build some value and maybe see if he's going to be good enough. Because I'm still not convinced he's good enough for Tottenham, to be honest. As much as I was willing to give him a chance when he signed, he's had these injuries. When he played, he was decent in some games, not so decent in other games. I don't want to judge him harshly, but I'd rather loan him and buy someone than keep him around and risk him not being good enough. So I would put him in loan and let him go somewhere and then maybe sell him.
I think that's so harsh though on him.
It is very harsh.
It's so harsh. Like, we've seen him in 4 or 5 games, literally. And he got 2 assists in that Burnley game. I thought he was brilliant in that game, but look, it was Burnley. You got to caveat it with that. One of the worst teams in the league this season, if not, them and Sheffield United, clearly. And I have seen value in him. I have. I like what I've seen on a football pitch from him, but he just hasn't had enough time. And the injuries have hampered him massively. And I think maybe the way we think about him would be completely different if he came back from injury the time that we said. He could have been a massive value to the team if we had him in this past month. But the reality is we haven't seen him. So it's very harsh to put him in loan, very harsh to put him in sell, and putting him in keep is also, I don't know. It's hard to put him in any 3 of those categories.
Yeah, that's why I'll put him in loan. But I'm happy to keep him, but I don't know if it's going to...
I think we will be keeping him.
Yeah, I think we will be keeping him.
So let's just put him in keep, because I think that's where he is going to be come the end of the season. Will Lancashire, loan for me. He's scored bucket loads amount of goals in the under-21s this season. I don't think it's a case of him being way too good for the under-21s, because that's probably still his level, but I want to see him start to play men's competitive football. Yeah,
I think a loan deal will do him well. I'm happy with that.
Will Lancashire is going into loan. Next up is Iago Santiago as well. With him, I think a loan spell is probably the best course of action. Done really well in the under-21s this year. He hasn't really pulled maybe the numbers that the other players have pulled in, but still getting regular goal contributions, goals and assists. So I think a loan spell for Iago.
Agreed.
Iago Santiago goes into loan. Next up is Dane Scarlett. Again, I think Dane Scarlett should be loaned out. I can't see him getting too many minutes in the first team, and a loan spell is probably his last chance to loan. Like, is he... How old is he
young.
now? How old
19.
is he? 19. So yeah, loan spell then.
Yeah, give him another loan spell. But it'd been unfortunate that he hasn't really exploded yet in his loans, but I'm still confident he's got a bright future.
Ollie Skip up next. I think I would actually sell Ollie Skip, unfortunately. As much as we've seen value of him in the past, I can't see where he fits in anymore, Ollie Skip.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate. I love him. I think he's a good player, and I think he's an underrated player. But with the new way we're kind of playing, I don't know if he's ever going to be the kind of player who's going to fit into that way of playing. So I do believe he's better than most people give him credit for, but unfortunately, I would have to sell him.
Yeah. All right, Ollie Skip going into sell. Next up is Jude Sunsot-Bell. Again, another player who's smashing it out for the under-21s this season, and another player who probably needs a loan.
Yeah, I think he's doing really well. I'm being very, very impressed, but a loan deal is a must.
And then the last 2, we have got Brandon Austin, whose contract is also up at the end of the season. So with Brandon Austin, 24 years of age, he is backup keeper at the moment, but it's probably sell.
Yeah, unfortunate. Hasn't really got a look in for Tottenham. Never really got a chance, so I would sell him.
And last but not least, we have got Jed Spence. Came in with a big reputation. It's been a bit of a disaster ever since we've signed him, but I think he has having a slightly bit better of it at Genoa this season. Locked down Federico Chiesa for Juventus last weekend. And if he can carry on this kind of form from now until the end of the season for Genoa, I'm saying keep.
I'm still saying sell. I'm not convinced by his attitude. He's he's doing decent at the moment. Looks like he had one good game against Juventus. Which
he's had a couple. It's not just one.
Well, one standout game. Apparently had a few good games at the beginning, then lost his place. Now he's had a good game now. I think if we get a chance to get our money back, we do it and we sell. That's why I say.
But I think like he's still a young player. Like attitudes can change and maybe something's clicked in him. And I think if you do that from now until the end of the season, if he has a really positive loan spell from now until the end, having 8-9 games, then why not keep him? He can be such a valuable backup right back to Pedro Porro.
Maybe. I don't even know if he's suited to the system, even if he's at his best as well. That's also another question mark. So you put that with his attitude.
I think he could be. I think he could be the Destiny Udogie style on the right-hand side.
I'm not convinced personally.
So where are we going?
Loan.
Loan for Jed Spence. All right, we'll cut it somewhere in the middle. All right, so that is the keep, loan or sell. Let's run through them with you guys just before we end the video. So in sell, you've got Tanguy Ndombele, Japhet Tanganga, Sergio Reguilon, Timo Werner, Troy Parra, Emerson Royale, Brian Hill, Ryan Sessegnon, Alfie Whiteman, Giovanni Lo Celso, Ben Davis, Pierre-Emile Højbjerg, Joe Roden, Niall John, Ollie Skip and Brandon Austin. That's a lot of players to sell. In loan, you've got Ashley Phillips, Alejo Valise, Alfie Devine, Jamie Donnelly, you've got Alfie Dorrington, you've got Iago Santiago, you've got Judson Zombel, you've got Dane Scarlett, you've got Jed Spence, and in keep you have got Bentancur, Madison, Sonny, Pat Mate Sarr, Fraser Forster somehow snuck his way into there, Pedro Porro, Cuti Romero, Dragushin, Richarlison, Yves Bissouma, Vicario, Van de Ven, Kulusevski, Manuel Solomon, Destiny Udogie, and Brennan Johnson. Let us know if you agree, if you disagree, and we'll see you very soon. Like, subscribe, and comment, and as always, come on you Spurs.